So I'm going to show you how to effectively take mid control on CS2 Vertigo. I like to split this up into two main phases, the first of which where you're kind of taking this early mid control, pushing out, taking control of mid elevators and out into this close mid area here. And then the second phase to where you're actually peeking out into connector and all of these angles out in this direction, and then deciding which site you're going to split to in the late round. So let's go ahead and get started. One of my favorite HEs to throw in all of Counter-Strike is just coming up as I'm running into mid and just banking it off the top of this little I-beam here. This catches a really good timing to where anyone that's running up into mid for this early peak, it's going to catch them and slow them down. And if they're deciding to just throw this Molotov here, it's also going to hit them right in the face. It's a great HE, and I rack up a couple hundred UD every single game just by throwing that simple grenade. If you feel like the CTs are taking aggressive control of this area here, maybe they're posting up after mollying into, this angle, wherever it may be, a great way to deal with that is coming to this little back fence. It doesn't have to be precise, just anywhere back along here, finding this light just above the doorway and taking one little tiny step and doing a run throw. That flash is going to bank on the other side of this wall so that your teammates, when they're standing here, it's not going to blind them and it's really easy for them to peek out with this flash. Anyone standing here, well, they're going to get absolutely eviscerated by this without any time to react whatsoever. If your teammates have already peeked out and cleared these positions to where there's no one in elevators, a better flash that you can throw for them is by coming right here onto this corner, crouching, and doing a right-click jump throw right at this dot up into the left of this paint can. It's going to pop up here, bank off the top of this wall, and it's going to flash anyone out here close mid, just like this. And of course, once your teammates have actually pushed out into mid here, a great flash that you can throw to help them peek into these angles here is by coming, instead of this corner right here, you come into this one, crouch, and do a simple left click throw at the bottom of this line here in the brick. It's going to bank off the back wall here to where it's going to blind anyone sitting in these positions without hardly any time to react whatsoever. So now that we've successfully established control of this area right here, there's a ton of useful utility that you can throw to either split A or B. So starting off, I'm going to show you how to deal with connector. If you go into this position right here, you can either smoke it off by just aiming up at this little dark part of the metal right here. That's going to go all the way out here and be in the dead center here, completely smoking off this position. Or from that exact same position, you can throw a molly in the same lineup, and it's going to land right here and fully molly off connector. I recommend throwing the molly if you're planning on eventually splitting out on towards B, so you don't have to wait for that smoke to fully clear. So the next most important smoke, I would say this is probably the most important smoke to learn from mid. You get stuck right here into this corner, and you find this little segment of these planks, go into the middle, and then over to the right to this little pole. You're going to do a W run throw to where it's going to go super deep back here and spread out to where there's no gaps on either side, and you're able to push up and go up into connector without having to worry about any of these angles back here. And if you'd rather split A, you can get stuck into this position right here and simply do a left click throw at this little dark spot on the tarp right here. It's going to land right in the dead center of this position in CT to where you're able to push through. Ideally, you're also going to have connector smoked off, but just like that, you have both these smokes up so you're able to swing through and get into elevators. Or if you'd rather split a little bit deeper through CT onto B, you can go right here into this exact same lineup position, crouch, and just look at the very bottom of this pole where it kind of sticks out under the ramp and do a W jump throw. That's going to bank off the sidewall and smoke off this position here to where you're able to not worry about elevators and push out into CT. And finally, one more bonus piece of utility. As your team is pushing through connector like this, if you're the B player, you can get positioned right in the front of this box and do a simple jump throw with a flash at the top of this dark line right here. It's going to go all the way up and it's going to land in front of this pillar to where as your teammates are pushing through con, that flash is going to land here and not blind them, but it's going to full blind anyone sitting back here in the back of sight to where they're going to be able to peek out a bit more effectively, and then you're going to peek up and be able to trade as they hit B. So yeah, I hope this utility helps you take mid a little bit more effectively on CS2 Vertigo. If you have any suggestions for me, please leave them down in the comments below.